Council, January 22nd, is called to order at 7:04 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk Norris, would you call the roll?
Mayor McClellan.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Here.
Councilmember Radner. Councilmember Edgar.
Here.
Councilmember Whitehead. Present.
Okay, we have a quorum. Item 5 on the agenda is the consent agenda. Following our routine items presented to City Council without discussion, any council member can ask to have one. Thank you. Skipped 4. Approval of the agenda. Thank you. Please remove item 7A from the agenda and revise 15C. Is there 15C revision is in front of you on the desk. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now we're on the consent agenda. Thank you. Item 5A, regular City Council meeting minutes for January 3rd, 2024. Doesn't that sound funny? B, Parks and Recreation Commission meeting minutes for October 18th and November 15th. C, request to advertise for bids for the 2024 lawn maintenance contract. D, request to advertise for bids for the 2024 landscape maintenance contract. And E, licenses, new and renewals submitted for January 16th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. I don't see any elected officials. We do have, this is omitted. So we are down to number 11, accounting reports. Approval for payment of invoices submitted by Garen Luca Miller, PC, for legal services in the total amount of $17,424.32. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Second, thank you. Roll call, is there discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Well, I have
Oh,
a
yes.
discussion.
Yes.
Since Solomon is not here, I'd like to say his line. You gotta pay the attorneys.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you subbed for him on that. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
Councilmember Edgar.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitehead. Yes.
Okay, motion carried, thank you. Off to City Manager Eric Tugge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. 15A, I have our city assessor here, Dawn. Request to approve income guidelines for the 2024 poverty exemption application. Dawn, take it over.
Good evening, everyone.
Is your mic on?
Can you speak up?
Yes, it's on. I'm just really soft. The first request is to approve the income guidelines for the 2024 poverty exemption application. I did attach the levels set by the Department of Health and Human Services. City of Oak Park has established that they want it 150% over the federal poverty guidelines, which I also attached the spreadsheet which those values would be.
Let's see, so we need a motion to approve the income guidelines for the 2024 poverty exemption application. Do we already have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Is 150% standard or recommended?
Every municipality has their own, like City of Detroit, they have a staggered. We have a set, if they meet the guidelines, they get 50%. decrease in their property taxes. Like the city of Detroit, they have staggered amounts where you can get 25 up to 100% absolutely tax-free. But when we reviewed the guidelines before, the majority of our decreases before the new law went into effect was about 50%, so we stuck with 50%.
Got it. Thank you.
Isn't
Any
this
other
the
questions?
same amount that we used for 2023 as well?
This, well, the actual levels change every year because we have to go with whatever the Department of Health and Human Services, whatever their poverty level is, and then we adjust our numbers based on their numbers.
So what did we do for 2023? Do you recall?
Well, it was still 150%
Okay.
over what,
Yeah, okay. But that's what I remember, 150% sticking out, so that's why I wanted to mention it.
yes.
All right, thank you.
Are we ready to vote then? No further questions?
No.
Roll call vote.
Councilmember Edgar.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitehead.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Okay, 15B, Dawn, you're doing such a wonderful job. Why don't you stay right up there and do 15B for me, please?
15B is approval of the extra day for the March Board of Review. Our charter states we meet on the second and the fourth Monday with an approval of an extra days to give people opportunity to appeal their assessments. I anticipate that we're going to need it again this year with the rate of inflation being 5%. We're going to get a lot of appeals in. And also the approval to leave the compensation of the board members for $120 for a full day and $60 for a half day.
First a
moved.
motion. Yep. And the second? Second. Yep. The amounts are, that are paid, was that what we paid last year?
Yes.
Yes, same as last year. Okay, are there questions? No. A roll call, please.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitehead.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
Councilmember Edgar.
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. I'd like to ask our Deputy City Manager of Municipal Services, David DeCoster, to do 15C, and we have a special guest as well. Dave, please go ahead and introduce our guest as well. Thank you.
Well, good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, City Manager Chungate. With me here is Jim Stock. He is the Design Director with Newman Smith Architecture. After I go through our agenda item, he is available should you have any questions regarding this item. So as you know, back in December of 2023, a request for proposals was sent to architectural and engineering firms for the Event Hub and Municipal Services Build-Out project. This project includes planning design, plan creation, and project support for the new Event Hub, as well as the Municipal Services Build-Out. The city manager designated an RFP selection team to evaluate and review each of the 7 proposals submitted. The team evaluated the proposals based on the criteria such as prior experience, project team, proposal fees, and project schedule. The review, this review led to a top proposal submitted by Newman Smith Architecture. The pricing for this contract is a percentage of the total estimated construction cost for each project. While the funding for the municipal services portion of this project is budgeted in the general fund, a budget amendment will be required to appropriate the amount related to the Event Hub and the Parks and Recreation Improvement Fund. It is recommended that City Council approve the professional services contract with Newman Smith Architecture for the total not to exceed amount of $397,525. This contract will require a review and approval by the city attorney before execution.
Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We are very excited. What can you tell us about, what's the procedure? What happens next?
Oh, go ahead.
So basically, I'll let Jim speak to this as well. If everything gets approval tonight, we're gonna work on a contract over the next week or so. We'll get a contract in place approved by our city attorney, and then the city manager has designated a design team internally, and we will immediately begin the work of schematic design and going through the entire design process with Jim's team to get approvals out to you folks for approval on the event hub. There is a proposed timeline in the proposal in your packet. It's an aggressive timeline. We're a little bit delayed because of the meetings, cancellations and things, but we're gonna hold to that schedule as strict as we can. Our intent is a shovel in the ground in 2024. So that's the next steps. I don't know if you have anything you want to add.
I'd like to say thank you for this opportunity. You know, projects like this are very special. To be able to create a place in the community to have this type of amenity, to bring, you know, community, you know, stakeholders in and community members in is really nice. In fact, I live 2 miles north of here in a place called Berkeley, and I used to take my boys here, you know, sledding, you know, maybe 500 yards to the west here. So to have this type of amenity here is really nice. And you know, just I could imagine, you know, families when this thing is built, you know, sledding and coming down here for hot chocolate, you know, perhaps in the winter. So yeah.
I like that.
So thank you.
I will note, there's a motion and a second on the table for the contract approval. I would note that it is further recommended that a budget amendment be approved to appropriate the amount funded to the event hub in the Parks and Recreation Improvement Fund. So it is a two-part approval, if you will.
Yes.
Dave, I wanted you to just elaborate on it a little bit for council members. The Parks and Recreation Improvement Fund is a fund we have set up to account for this project and other projects related to the Elevated Park Initiative. Okay, and the amendment is necessary because right now we haven't had to account for it, but as we get this project going, of course, we'll need to. So that's why there's an amendment. I just wanted to clarify that.
And to further clarify, we went through this a little bit with finance. It's not that the money is not there. It's not a budgeted expenditure in this budget.
Well,
So-
in that
yeah.
line item, it's
Yeah,
not.
so
but
we're
it
really
is
just
there.
moving money to account for expenditures we're gonna expend this fiscal year.
Did Robert Peter pay Paul?
No.
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 It's a
It's all,
pile of
and
money
I,
that
it's-
was
and Director
designated.
Crawford, if you want to come up and further clarify, I wanted to point this out, because no, we're not. It's that it's a name change only, but because that account does not exist in the current budget, because we would have not had to have it exist, because we hadn't started the projects, it will have to be set up. But go ahead, elaborate.
Okay, I'm sorry. So, okay, we have a Recreation Improvement Fund, Fund 407, and so that, I'm
Talk
sorry.
into the mic and
We do have
holler.
a Recreation
Closer.
Improvement Fund, and so in that fund, the only thing that we had budgeted to expend this year was $200,000 for the Shepherd Park bathroom. The rest of the money that we had taken and put aside in the last fiscal year rolled to fund balance because we didn't have any expenditures in 22, 23 for those funds. So what we're asking is to take what we need to pay for this project to get it started from fund balance. So in order to do that, we need your approval to approve those monies being allocated to the capital improvement line or professional service line to pay for the engineering, architectural stuff that we want to do for that.
I just
So
have
it's-
one
it's,
question.
Okay, please. Councilmember
I-
Julie Edgar.
I had asked City Manager Tungate about this. So the money for the event hub, and then there's the money for the build-out of the, for municipal services in the old public safety building. The money for the municipal services study is not coming from the Parks and Rec
That is
Improvement
correct.
Fund.
That is the general
Okay.
fund, right?
That's the general fund.
Yes.
And this money will be used to design?
Hold on one second. So let me say this first, and then you guys can build off this here. So, Councilmember Edgar and I talked about this. So, yes, yes, as in the monies are not commingled. They will have to be divested and accounted for separately.
Yes, oh, absolutely, yes. Yes, the Parks and Recs is strictly for the event hub and any other park improvements that the council so desires to do, recreation centers or whatever.
And for further clarification, if you're wondering, some of you may be wondering, maybe not, why we've added the municipal offices feature into this proposal is because we wanted to kill two birds with one stone. We know that as part of the Elevate initiative, we have to move our staff, our former technical and planning municipal services staff, out of that area. Well, they have to have a place to go. We're projecting that they go into the old city hall that we left vacated when we came here. And so this is to help us design that space out so that we can move those employees over.
Got it. Sorry, I said City Hall, but yes, I said Public Safety, but it's City Hall. Okay, thank you.
Okay, are we ready for a vote? Thank you for clarifying all of the money in the separate pots.
May I just add, Jim?
Please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just, is it Jim? I'm sorry.
It's Jim.
Jim.
Yeah.
Jim, I want to just say, in having reviewed your proposal, just congratulations. Fantastic. I've admired the work that your firm has done all over metropolitan Detroit and elsewhere.
Thank
So
you.
I'm personally very excited to have you guys on board, and I think, as you correctly stated, this is a monumental project for this city. Truly, truly transformational. And I think people will really know that when they start seeing shovels in the ground
Yeah.
and these structures go up. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to acknowledge that. So I'm looking
Thank
forward,
you.
you know, members of my team and others working with you guys as we go forward. So
Thank you.
Just a quick question, City Manager.
Yes.
These in our proposal, these are all designs that they have put together, like the Royal Oak Farmers Market and so forth?
I'm gonna let Jim take that one.
Yeah, Royal Oak Farmers Market, we did that, the design and construction documents for that, and construction management, yes.
Oh,
So
Centennial
my,
Park.
can I just?
And Centennial Park too, you got?
Yeah.
So-
We are the architect of record for that, so we teamed with a number of different consultants. We had a landscape architect, Michael Van Valkenburg, that's under construction right now. David Adjay Associates did the design work on that. We are the architects of record.
So we want ours to look just like that.
Okay, all right, we're gonna have to talk a little bit about budget, but,
I'm thinking a canoe livery right on the side would be cool, you know?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, we certainly got the right company. Are we ready for a vote? Yeah? A roll call, please.
Councilmember Whitehead,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns,
Yes.
Councilmember Edgar,
Yes.
Mayor McCullough.
Absolutely, yes. That's, we're delighted, motion carried, and we're just delighted to have this start. And it'll be something for us all to look forward to and be excited about. And during these times, something positive and exciting is a bigger blessing than you know.
couldn't agree more. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Mayor, members of council, Elevate Oak Park project update. I'm going to be very brief tonight. You've heard a lot about the Elevate Oak Park stuff over the course of this evening, including some of the results of our senior housing study. Obviously, you know, I think we've gotten a little bit more guidance on that, more to come, of course. But then I think another big step, as you just voted, moving forward on the architectural and engineering services for the event hub and the former City Hall, or the former Public Safety office space. We did receive 4 submittals that were due last Friday for our bond counsel.
For
So-
which?
Bond counsel for the community center, and that's the law firm that will be walking us through the process of submitting for bonds and so forth. And so I'll be delivering a recommendation back to City Council as we get our arms around those 4 proposals and start evaluating them. But very, very exciting news. Lastly, I want to say, as I was going through my day today, this is unrelated to Elevate Oak Park now for a second, but I'd be happy to entertain any questions you have about Elevate Oak Park. We've talked a lot about Elevate Oak Park. That's okay, it's a good project.
How high can we go?
I mean, hey, sky's the limit here. But we were talking earlier about a way to recognize, like, the Lions. And I know back in 2012, when the Detroit Tigers were in the World Series, and Mayor, I know you remember this, we put this Detroit Tigers Boulevard sign up here in recognition of the Tigers going into the World Series. But then as I'm sitting here in the meeting, I'm looking out the window, and I'm noticing that we have Honolulu blue trees throughout this whole. So I think mission accomplished, Dave. I think we're good. But
I
that
was-
completes the city manager report for this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank
Quick
you.
question. Is that why our lights are still up
Of course.
in January? I like it.
We can't take them down now. We have to see where this leads us.
Absolutely. First, we have call to the audience, and Mayor Pro Tem Burns will read a comment.
Each speaker's remarks are a matter of public record. The speaker alone is responsible for his or her comments, and the City of Oak Park does not, by permitting such remarks, support, endorse, or accept the comment thereof as being true or accurate. Any person, while being heard at a city council meeting, may be called to order by the chair or any council member for failure to germane to the business of the city, vulgarity, or personal attacks on persons or institutions. Also, please remember, there is a 3-minute time limit per speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. And if we didn't intimidate you with that, come on up and say a piece.
Mayor, I have a card.
A
Ken
card.
Sherman
Oh,
would
good.
like to speak.
I'm shaking in my boots.
Oh, yeah.
Ken Sherman, Jerome Street in Oak Park. I really kind of feel silly talking about this issue since we live in Michigan and we have 4 seasons, and right now it's winter. But I'm talking about the lack of snow removal on residential streets and residential, walkways and business streets. If you drive down Greenfield Road between 10 and 11 Mile, I observed lack of snow removal on the walkways there. If you drive down Oak Park Boulevard, at least between Coolidge and Scotia, there's many houses that have no shoveling done. And on my street between, on Jerome, between Oak Park Boulevard and Northfield, there's many houses that have not been shoveled since we've had snow. I know we have a limited number of code enforcement officers, but I really think there needs to be more aggressive policing and citing of people that are not shoveling their snow. I talked to Kim Maroney before the meeting while we were in the lobby, and I think maybe the communications department should put something on the city's Facebook page and other media websites to remind people that they have an obligation to shovel their snow, and if they don't, there's consequences regarding the lack of shoveling. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else got a word? It's a quiet group. Call to the council. Between Elevate Oak Park, oh, is there one more coming? Ah. 2 more coming. Come on down.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, yeah. My name is Silva Haywood, and I am the president of the Concerned Citizen Block Club that covers Kenosha Street and Church and Gardner. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but I do have deep concern about Oak Park in the community in regards of I know the weather has start getting bad. I get that, but the streets now are terrible. And I think someone did go down the street shoveling it right after we had the snowstorm. But since then, the snow has compounded and it turned into ice. So you still need someone to come down the street and to put salt down. Because if a person is not a careful driver, I mean, they can easily get stuck. So to avoid that, I think that it would be very imperative if someone would take the initiative to go down these side streets and shovel, put down some ice. I mean, not put down
Salt,
ice,
yeah.
put down salt
Yeah.
to help with ice. And I think that would be very, very delightful if someone can do that. And another issue I have, my question is, I know Oak Park has a lot of trees. I mean, everywhere you look is trees. So could anyone tell me, what is the purpose of Oak Park having all these trees? I mean, everywhere you look, it is trees. And to my understanding is, I thought that in order to have a tree planted in front of in your house by the sidewalk, you would have to give them the okay. But in this case, someone came by about a year, I think about 2 years ago, and they planted a tree right in front of my house. I did not give anyone the consent to do that. So so my question is, what is the strategy behind that? I mean, is it because you feel as though that we just need to plant all these trees?
We're going to have you talk to
Who do I need to talk to?
Dave, right at the end. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, and keep bringing issues to us. We're happy to he will talk to you about
Okay.
the salt and
Okay.
the shoveling and the trees.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mhm. Yep. Is that it for the audience? Yes, okay. Just with deep gratitude to the Lions and their wonderful coach. One of the really good players stood up and said, he is the best leader I have ever worked for. And so it's just an inspiring coach, inspired his team, and raised the whole city. There was an article in the Washington Post. They talked to a Jewish family, a Muslim family, a black family, all different families who were saying how much it meant to them to have the Lions win. Folks, it's the only thing we agree on. And it's a blessing in these times, along with our event hub, which will be another blessing because during dark times, we just want something to celebrate. And thank you, Lions. My husband died, and so I still talk to him. And I said, you could have stuck around another year and seen the Lions win for a change. And my friend said, oh no, he's their guardian angel. He's the reason why they're winning. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out and battling the cold. We love to hear your concerns, whether they are positive or negative. It's really appreciative, and I like to see different people each week come to the city council meetings. It doesn't matter if it's one person or two persons, but thank you so much for coming out, and please dress accordingly to the weather. Good night.
Councilmember Edgar.
I thank you all for coming out. Lots of exciting things again tonight. Our event hub, as the mayor mentioned, we had an earlier meeting. We were talking about the viability of a senior apartment building. Lots going on. We are supposed to get a snowstorm tonight, but it is warmer, So perhaps we won't have that kind of icing that we did, because I don't think salt even works when it's below a certain temp. I don't know, but hopefully we will have some relief from all of this ice. But nonetheless, please stay safe and warm. Thanks for coming out.
Right, thank you. And Councilmember Whitehead, can you mention Winterfest on the 28th?
Yes, Winterfest is January 28th.
From
and
1 to 4.
From 1 to 4 at the Shepherd Park, correct? And so it's gonna be a great time. My niece loves it, and so there's a lot of good events going on out there. Juneteenth's first meeting is gonna be, for this year, next week, Monday, June 29th at 6:30 p.m. At the rec center, building, one of those rooms there. I think it's 1 or 2 will be in. Please come on out. And I do wanna thank one of, our council members on this board, Mayor Pro Tem Burns. Because of her efforts over the past week, I just want to say Juneteenth now has in there more funds to work with for next year than we've ever had for the first 3 years combined. And so I just want to say thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for your efforts. She put some calls in this week and really got us some funds to make this the biggest that we've been. So thank you. And go Lions.
Yes. Thank you for coming. There being no further business to come before this council, this meeting stands adjourned.